Alright, so I made it to the kitchen. If you see something out of place in my kitchen, mind your business, okay? It's my kitchen, not your kitchen. Thank you. Alright, so before I get started, since some of the things that I'm going to be making for dinner are frozen, I'm going to grab that out of the fridge and leave that out to thaw out. Leftover shrimp. I have my salmon, pink salmon fillet, and this is wild caught. Don't be eating no farm raised salmon because that's not good. So I always make sure that my seafood in general, not just my salmon, comes from the wild and not from a farm, because sea creatures do not belong in a farm. That's just my opinion. I'm going to put it in this, what is this called? I don't know the word in Spanish, but I'm going to put it in here with some cold water to thaw out. And this I literally got from the dollar store, and this was literally $1. So yeah. All right, now that's done, let's get started with breakfast. Whenever I cook, I like to do what's called mise en place, and that's something that I learned from working at a fast food restaurant. Mise en place is a French term for things in place. So pretty much just prepping yourself before you start cooking. Pretty much I like to put my stuff on the counter that I'll be using for when I do cook. So for breakfast today, I am going to be making hard-boiled eggs with some toast. And I think that's it. So for my fridge, I grabbed my Schmuckers strawberry preserve. I got my butter, and I got me some brown eggs, which during this quarantine I usually pay $3 for this, and I almost paid $6 for a dozen eggs. Unbelievable, but I get my brown eggs, so I had to pay the price this time. Got my stuff. I need my bread. One of the things that I do when I go grocery shopping, whenever I come back with my groceries, I clean them up, or if they are vegetables, I make sure I wash them, because I don't know who has come in contact with it. And typically any other time I still wash my vegetables whenever I do get home, but with everything that's been going on with COVID-19, I clean everything. One of the things that I've been doing with bread is I bag them up. So whenever I come home from the supermarket with bread, I put them in little Ziploc bags, and this is the biggest bag that I have for Ziploc. So I put about 4 slices of bread per bag, and I save them like this. And the bag that I got from the supermarket, I throw it out. So this is what my bread is looking like during COVID-19. I am in the mood for some tea, so I'm gonna have some green tea with my breakfast. So I'm going to put some water in this kettle and put it to boil. Typically I don't drink tap water, although they say that New York City tap water is considered safe, but I'm not going to take that chance. But when it comes to cooking, I do use tap water because I'm going to be boiling it. So I'm going to put some tap water in here, and I'm also going to put some water to boil for my eggs. And I'll most likely move you guys so you guys can see more of what I'm doing over here. But be doing this, and my bandana don't want to cooperate with me. Tuck that bad boy in. All right, time to boil some water. So I put my water to boil, and I put my 2 eggs to boil as well. So I'm just going to wait for that to be done, and then I'll show you guys what I'll be doing next. So my tea is ready to go. Typically when I have green tea, I don't add anything to it, but sometimes I may add a little brown sugar or a little bit of agave, but today I'm just gonna have it as it is, and that's pretty much how I've been doing it lately. Just green tea with nothing in it, and this is pretty much good to go. My bread is actually toasted, which I'm going to be showing you. This is one of my breads, and I don't like a super toasted bread because that hurts when I chew it or when I bite into it. So I like a nice semi toasty bread. So that's done, and I'm actually gonna get it out of the toaster. And I also went ahead and grabbed some grapefruit, and I sliced that up and cut it up into little pieces that I could bite into. That's just me trying to incorporate some fruit into my breakfast. And my egg is still not done. It has probably like 2-3 minutes left. So when that's done, I'm going to be showing you the final plate. Alright, so I moved the camera so you could see more of what I'm doing. I thought this video was going to be easy, but moving the camera the right ways so you guys could see the angle correctly to see what I'm doing, it's actually not that easy. So yeah, I moved the camera to this angle so you guys could see more of what I'm doing. My egg is actually almost done, so I'm going to be cracking that and serve my breakfast. Cold water so I could peel it. And to take away the little shells that's still on it, just rinse it in the water. And done. And done. This one did not come out the best, but who cares? So to finalize my breakfast, for my eggs, just cut them up, cut it in half, and then I cut the half into another half. Clean my knife. Okay. So butter in my toast. As you can see, I like an evenly buttered toast. Not too much, not too little. Okay. Some strawberry preserve. And this is not the same thing as strawberry jelly. I did learn that strawberry preserve is the real fruit that has been cooked down. So there's pieces of fruit in there, in this case strawberry, and jelly is pretty much the fruit juice cooked down with some gelatin. Just a fun fact, because I learned that recently. Sharing some knowledge here, just sharing some knowledge. And 3. Now for my eggs, keep it pretty simple. Maybe you can see. There we go. Okay. For my eggs, pretty simple. Some sea salt, black pepper, and if you're looking at the health aspect of things, cayenne pepper actually helps build a stronger gut health. What's the word? Your metabolism. It actually helps boost your metabolism. And this butter helps support your cholesterol levels. And I got wheat bread, I got protein in my eggs, and I have a fruit, and green tea also helps you with burning some fat. Obviously, drinking 1 cup is not going to do much, but if you do it on a consistent basis, it's going to help you. So here we have breakfast. I'm going to go ahead and enjoy this. It looks so good, and I'll see you for dinner. Later.
5 hours later.
I am going to be making some salmon, some shrimp, some sweet potato. So I have here my sweet potato, and I have to use them before they go bad. I have my shrimp and my salmon here thawing out. So I think I got all the things that I need. Originally, when I went to the supermarket, my idea was to make salmon and some roasted broccoli. But one of the problems that I tend to have is that when I go to the grocery store, I tend to buy certain things, and if I don't use them fast enough, they go bad. My original plan was roasted broccoli with sweet chili salmon, but that's not happening. So I'm just going to be making Cajun salmon with Cajun style shrimp, sweet potato, and I don't know, I don't want to use the broccoli, but they're going bad, so I feel like I have to use them. I feel bad throwing it out. No, I'm not going to use the broccoli. So just mashed sweet potato, the salmon, and the shrimp, and that's it. That's a lot of orange food. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Now let's talk about how I go about cooking. When I cook, I tend to do the things that take the longest first. So the first thing that I'm going to do, because I want my food to have flavor, is season the meat. So I'm going to get some containers so I can separate the salmon from the shrimp. I have to clean my shrimp, and technically the salmon comes clean, but I also like to clean it as well. So I'm going to get started with that. So the first thing I'm going to do is clean my salmon. It already comes, what does that mean, scaled? Like they already take the scales off at the supermarket, but I feel like they don't do a pretty good job. So I just like to take a knife and just pretty much finish doing that myself. I'm actually going to move the camera because I like to do that in the sink because I don't like my stuff to splatter. So I don't know if you guys could see much, but I'll be showing you. Okay, pretty much take my salmon and I just rub my knife just to make sure that all the scales are off. And you see here, they didn't take all of that off. There you go, right there. So I'm going to do that. And I like to do this inside the sink because a lot of the times the scales go everywhere. And this is fish we're talking about, so you don't want fish all over your counter. It's so funny how this is my first cooking video, but I feel so self-conscious, and not because I don't know how to cook. It's just that people are so judgmental. A lot of people are like, why is she doing this? Why is she adding that? Oh, she forgot to do this. But this is my way of cooking. Okay, so I'm done with that. I'm gonna put it aside. Now I'm going to work on my shrimp. Cooking videos are so hard. I feel like I need an assistant right now to move the camera around for me. I wish I just have somebody just watching over what I'm doing. Now I'm going to start taking these shells off my shrimp, and I always have like a bag around when I cook just so I won't be running back and forth to the garbage. And in this bag I'm going to put the scales. There we go. So when it comes to shrimp, the way you clean it is you take the shell off and then you clean the vein. But to save some time, I do things in order, I feel like. So first I'm going to take off the shells and then I go ahead and devein them. And you obviously can buy shrimp that it's already shelled and deveined, but I feel like it's much more expensive. It's about $3 to $5 more, and I don't have a problem cleaning my shrimp and deveining it myself. I find cooking to be peaceful and relaxing for me. Some people don't feel comfortable touching meat or touching seafood, but I don't have a problem with it. So I just buy my shrimp just with the head off, and I do the rest of the work myself. Okay, so I am done. Now going to get some cold water in my, what is this called in English? I don't even know. It's not a bucket. In Spanish or in Guatemala, we call it a pana. And I'm going to add a little bit of vinegar. And I know that some people don't clean their meat or their seafood. I find that odd. I was always raised to clean like whatever meat I use before I cook it. So I still implement that today into my cooking. So for you to devein your shrimp, you cut the back open, and the vein that you see in the back is pretty much the poop. So you want to cut the back, and then you remove the back vein. And as you can see right here, maybe you can see right there, that right there is the poop of the shrimp, and you take that out. But an easy way to take that out is you cut the back of the shrimp and then you run it under water, and the water pressure just makes the vein just slide right off. I'm gonna run it under cold water. You can just simply pull out the vein, but I like to run it under cold water and just run my finger right through it, and it comes right off. Put them in my vinegar water to clean them up, and done. So now I just give them a toss around in the vinegar water to make sure they're all clean, just in case there was a vein that I didn't get out. The vinegar water caught it. And now just drain it and rinse it with some cold water. I am not a pro when it comes to cooking, but I'm also not a level 1 cooker where I have to measure ingredients. I have an understanding when it comes to flavors, so I just go ahead and season. So I start with some olive oil, and then I get some salt, some pepper, a little bit of garlic pepper or garlic powder, and onion powder, and cayenne pepper, and a lot of all-base seasoning since I am making a Cajun style salmon. And then I rub that in, and then I turn it around, and I'm going to do the same exact thing on the other side. And typically whenever I tend to season a lot of meat, I make what I call my blend spice. So it will be all these ingredients in a small container and use that to season the meat. But I'm only making one piece, so I don't have to make any blends. Get all the sides seasoned up. Okay, and that is my salmon. Now my shrimp. And my shrimp I only season on one side, and then I make sure to get all up in there. And then once you mix it all up, all the seasoning just gets into the shrimp all over. So that was some salt, some pepper. And I love using the grinders because I feel like they make me feel professional. I love the Food Network, and a lot of the times this is what they use. So I use these grinders just so I could feel like a pro. Garlic powder, onion powder. And I had to get this like last minute. This is like the supermarket brand. I typically go to Walmart to get my seasonings because when it comes to cooking or when it comes to shopping in general, I like to shop, but I also like to be reasonable with the things that I shop. And I know that Walmart is one of those stores that it really does help you save money. One of these seasonings, especially McCormick brand or this brand, it's like $4 in the supermarket, where at Walmart I could get them for $2. And yes, it is $2, but $2 go a long way. Now I'm just going to mix the shrimp all in, and that's my shrimp. So now while I move on to the rest of my cooking, let me wash my hands so you can hear me. So now that my salmon and my shrimp are cleaned, and season. These could marinate and I could move on to prepping the rest of the things that I'm going to be using. Now for my sweet potatoes, what I do is I clean them first, and I have this cool little gadget that has the brush and the peeler on one side. So what I do is I clean my sweet potato and I brush them, but I did that when I purchased it, so I don't really need to do that. But now I'm just going to peel them, and you pretty much peel the sweet potato until you see the color of the sweet potato, which is orange. So I rinse my potatoes and I rinse my board, and now usually I actually forgot to do this, but before I tackle my potatoes I usually put the water to boil, but I forgot to do that, so I'm going to do that now. Have a pot here with some water. And to that I'm gonna add a little bit of salt. Now I'm going to cut the ends of my sweet potato. I'm going to cut it in half and then cut the half into another half. And because this is going to be mashed sweet potatoes, I am not too particular about the size, so I just cut them as little as I can. And that's my sweet potato. I went ahead and cleaned my board and cleaned my knife, and since I have to wait for the water to boil, I'm just going to make my juice. Typically I wait until the end or until my meal is ready to make my juice, but for the sake of this video I'm just going to make my juice now. So things that I need is a juicer and my cup. I'm going to cut my orange in half. I'm going to cut my lemon in half, and I'm going to cut my grapefruit in half. And this is my leftover grapefruit from breakfast. So now I'm going to just juice these citruses. And I have this tiny little strainer, which I think is so cute. And since I already filled up my juicer, I'm going to go ahead and just drain that. This is the juice that I got from the grapefruit, the orange, and the lemon. Typically for breakfast I would drink this, or if I'm fasting I would just drink this by itself. But since this is gonna be for dinner, I'm going to add a little bit of seltzer water just to add some sparkles. Not sparkles, bubbles. And some people will not be able to drink this because they find this to be tart, but to me this is like the right level of sweetness. I don't like too sweet of things, so this is good for me. I'm gonna put this aside, and I hear the water boiling, so my sweet potato is gonna go in. My sweet potato is boiling. I'm just going to wait a little bit. And typically when I cook, I clean as I go. So while my sweet potato is cooking, and I'm going to let that boil for about 10 minutes or until my potatoes are soft. In the meantime, I'll just be cleaning the dishes that I've used so far, and then I'll be moving on to the rest. Typically, I'll be doing everything at once, but because I want you guys to see everything that I'm doing everything one step at a time. So I'm going to wash my dishes, and I'll see you guys in a little bit.
A few moments later.
I moved the potatoes over, and I have my skillet here, or my frying pan, heating up, and I have this paper towel in my plate so the salmon and the shrimp could drain out any extra oil that it may have at the end. And here I have my masher, to make my sweet potato, and I'm not going to wait until the potatoes are done. I'm just going to go ahead and show you how I make the shrimp and the salmon. To start with my salmon, I'm going to put the skin side down first. So I can smell my salmon. I could tell that it is ready to be flipped, so now I'm going to flip it. Press it down a little bit, and I'm probably going to cook it for another 3 minutes. So it's been about 3 minutes. Now I'm going to take my salmon out, and I'm going to put it to drain. Now I'm going to add a little bit more oil to drop my shrimp. And shrimp takes very short time to cook, so this is gonna be done in no time. And last one. Oh my god, I wish you were here to be able to smell this, because this smells so good. Now I'm just going to flip my shrimp, and you can pretty much tell when the shrimp is ready to be flipped. It turns pinkish or orangey and white. I'm going to turn off the potatoes, and just because I feel like my food is going to be dry, I feel like I need a little sauce, so I'm going to drain this oil from my pan. I'm not going to clean it because I want the flavors that stayed in there, but I don't want the oil. And here I have a 1 tablespoon measuring, and I'm just going to grab pretty much 1 tablespoon of butter. Okay, this is being stubborn. And then I'm going to leave the spoon in the pan just so the heat of the pan can melt the rest of the butter. I have a garlic clove right here that I'm going to peel really quick. And I have my garlic masher right here. Just going to put my garlic in there. And I'm going to just smash that in. And there we go. Going to add some Old Bay seasoning. And I'm not adding any salt or any pepper, just the Old Bay seasoning. Now I'm going to turn this up, but I'm going to turn it on to a very light, because I want the garlic to cook, but I don't want my garlic to burn. So this is going to be very quick. And that's gonna be my quick sauce for my salmon and my shrimp. And just that fast, my sauce is done. And I'm going to make my mashed sweet potatoes in the pan. Okay, so I'm going to grab my milk, and my butter is right here. And for this, you can use any milk that you have. I purchased lactate only because it lasts longer in the fridge. I don't use milk as often as I used to, not because I'm lactose or anything like that. So you can use any milk that you have. You can also use evaporated milk, or you can just use butter as well. But I like my mashed sweet potatoes to taste smooth, so I do add a little bit of milk to make that happen. So I'm going to add a little bit of butter, and I'm going to start mashing. Okay, now I'm going to add a little bit of nutmeg, just a tad bit. And I love sweet potato with some cinnamon. I feel like they go together. So I'm going to add a little bit of that. A tad bit of salt. Just to balance out that sweetness, because I'm having this with some salmon. And some pepper. Just a splash of milk. Tad bit. And now I'm going to stir all of this up. And I'm just going to add a little bit more milk just because I want it to be a little bit creamier. That's perfect. Sleeve is running down. Okay. That's perfect. Okay. So that is my mashed sweet potato. Now the final step is to try it to make sure that I'm happy with the seasoning. It just needs a little more salt and we're done. So that should be done. Okay, so now let's plate the food. I like my food to look pretty. I feel like if I am picky in terms of food, it will be that my food needs to look appealing, because if it doesn't, I don't want to eat it. So first I'm going to put my mashed sweet potato down, and then I want to get my salmon and my shrimp. All right. And just because I know my sauce is going to be very flavorful, I'm just going to add a little bit of lime juice, because I am eating seafood and I love lime juice with my seafood, depending on how I make it. Now let's taste this. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. So this is my Old Bay butter garlic sauce, and I'm just going to put that on top of my shrimp and on top of my salmon. Even my juice is orange, and voila. So this is my late lunch slash dinner. It looks so good and it smells so good, and knowing me, it tastes good. And this is not me being cocky, this is just me being proud of my cooking skills. So we reached the end of this video. You guys spent a quarantine day with me meal prepping, and I am about to go dig in. If you like this video, leave this video a fat thumbs up. If you guys want to see me cooking anything in particular, comment it down below. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys on my next video. Ciao.